how to find cheap houses, off-market properties where you can add value and start to own those as buy and hold real estate investors. That's today's show. Let's dive into it. Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. Or if you're a longtime viewer, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, this is the channel where we help you build financial freedom and help you build financial independence with buy and hold real estate. I've been a real estate investor since, I think 2007-ish, 2008, when I did my first flip years ago down in the great state of Florida. In the meantime, I've seen all manner of things happen in the real estate business. And on today's show, we're going to talk about 5 ways to find cheap off-market properties. Okay, first, before we dive into 5 different ways to find them, and there are more than 5 ways, but these are 5 great ways that I certainly use to find properties over the years, and you can too in your own backyard. But before we kind of get into finding off-market properties, I want to talk about what is an off-market property. Why would I even want to find an off-market property? Shouldn't I just be calling a realtor and getting a property that's on Zillow or on the multiple listing service? No. The answer is no. So what is an off-market property? Well, it's simply that. It's a property that's never made it to the multiple listing service. It's never made it to public websites, etc., because of certain reasons. Because it's been it's an inherited property. Someone inherited the property. It's sat in probate for a long time. It's fallen into disrepair. No one knows where the owner is. A lot of these things can happen, and they might not ever make it to an on-market property. I think most people think about real estate investing. They think about, seeing the balloons out for an open house, and you're going to go on the drive around your neighborhood on the weekend and look for a property, and you're going to pop in and out of open houses as an investment. Hey, honey, it's Saturday afternoon. Let's go look for an investment property. Maybe we'll find an open house. No, that's the worst possible way to find an investment property. And one of the main reasons is because, the profit is made on the purchase of one of these properties. When you buy a property, you're buying it below market because you're probably going to have to put a bunch of work into the property. You're going to have to upgrade it with $20,000, $30,000 worth of work. So if you're paying retail price for that property, and then on top of that, you have to do $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 worth of work on that property, then you're overpaying. You're moving your needle, and your ROI will be much, much lower. So the reason we want to find off-market properties, distressed properties, is because we can get them for cheaper, then we can add value, and that's how we can create a nice return on investment. So it all comes down to the numbers. So at a high level, that's why we go after off-market properties, okay? Almost every property I buy is off-market. Investors selling back and forth, that's how it happens, okay? So if you're just getting started, understand that part of it. So now let's go through 5 different ways that you might find off-market properties. Number 1 is to call realtors. Now I know I kind of just slammed them. Now my wife is a realtor, my father's a realtor. Realtors typically deal just in retail purchase and sales, right? They're holding open houses. They've got a beautiful property that's just been completed. They're going to sell it. That's typically what realtors will sell. And I know this because I read the comments in the threads below our videos, and I've seen a lot of realtors who say, Clayton, you're right. Most of the time, we just want to deal with a great property that doesn't need a lot of work. And we're working with families to move in and out of properties. That's what we do. They don't often deal in distressed properties that need a ton of work, right? Roof is falling in, it's fire damage, you name it. Realtors tend not to deal with that. However, you can find realtors that handle distressed properties. Now, how do you find them? Well, one thing you can do is look up a number of your local real estate offices in the area where you're looking to invest and simply start calling the agents. Right? You're going to find a list of them, and just start calling a bunch of these agents and just say, hey, look, I'm interested in finding investment properties. Do you ever find off-market properties that come into the office that no one knows what to do with? Very often this is known as a pocket listing. Literally means like putting it in their pocket because it's in the office. They've got this crappy property. They don't know what to do with it. It kind of sits in the office, and the realtors in that office don't know what to do with it. And sometimes the seller will say, look, if you have it, I don't want to put it on the multiple listing service. I don't want anyone walking through this property. But if you know of any investors that kind of float in and out of here, please feel free to share this property with them. That's called a pocket listing. And realtors can be a very good source of these types of properties. You just have to find the right one. So what I did when I was first starting years ago, I got a full list, I think of like 1,000 realtors in my area. And every day I made it a mission to call 20 of them every day. And I had a little checklist on my phone, their name, check, and I'd call. And if I had a conversation with that person, I'd make a little note next to that person's name. I'd add them then to my iPhone contacts so that I had information about what office they were in. Were they in Weichert? Were they in Century 20? Whatever they were. And I made a little note. And I would follow up with them then via email a short time later. Hey, John, it was great talking with you this afternoon about distressed properties that you might come across. Here's my email. Please let me know. You've got to take action. Okay, you can start to develop those relationships. And I would also suggest even taking them out for a cup of coffee. So if you call 100 realtors, you're going to find one or two that might work with you to bring you distressed properties. Take that person out to coffee, sit down with them, learn the market a little bit more, and that's how you can start to develop those relationships with realtors. Number 2 on my list for finding off-market distressed properties is, I don't know, it's kind of one of my favorites, to be honest with you, because I don't like being in an office. I don't like sitting behind a desk all day. I like to be out driving for dollars. So that's what you can do, is go out and drive for dollars is number 2 on my list. What is that? That literally is what it sounds like. It's getting in your car, taking a walk with the dog, and walking all around the neighborhoods you're looking to buying rental properties or flips if that's what you're after. What you're going to do is you're going to look for properties that are in distress. And I'm telling you, they are highly visible. This morning I was taking the kids to school and I passed 2 or 3 this afternoon that made me this morning that made me think about this, which is there's a roof that's in total disrepair. There's all kinds of branches up in the gutter. The shutters were falling off the side of the house. It didn't look like anyone was there. That's a clear sign of something going on there. And you might then pull over. You could even write out a little Post-it note that says, I'm interested in buying properties in this neighborhood. You could slap it on the front door with your phone number, or you could knock on the neighbors' doors and say, hey, I'm a real estate investor in this area, and I noticed the house next door is in disrepair. What's the story with that? They're going to know. They are absolutely going to know that Janice, who lived there a year ago, passed away or moved, and the family doesn't want to have anything to do with this house, so they've been letting it sit. Great. Do you have the family's phone number? Because I'd like to make them an offer. And I guarantee you that neighbor doesn't want that unsightly house sitting next to them anymore, is going to be thrilled to give you information about how to connect with that family. I've done it hundreds of times. In fact, one of my biggest deals came from me simply driving by a house, writing out on a business card, putting it into their mail or the storm door in between the screen, and I got a call later that day from the owner who just happened to be stopping by this house and picking up some mail that was in the mailbox. And I ended up doing a deal with a vacant house that needed a ton of work. So driving for dollars. Another indicator of a house that is in disrepair when you're doing driving for dollars is snow. Winter is a great time to find distress. I mean, how many of you watching right now can live in cold winter conditions where you can drive through your neighborhood, you can clearly see the houses that haven't been shoveled. And it snowed 5 days ago, and there's no footprints, and there's maybe a pile of newspapers in the driveway. Or during the summer, another clear indication, when a house's grass is 1.5 feet tall and no one's cut the grass. Or there's stickers on the front storm door from the city because they've got high grass violations and other things. Those are clear indicators of a house that's in distress. Knock on the neighbors' doors and ask for a little information. So those are some clear ways to find out whether or not this house is in repair. And this is where you can make a contact with the family and see about trying to make an offer, find out what the story is on the property, and literally getting a purchase agreement together and sending it to them and saying, look, this house looks like it's going to need $60,000 worth of work. I'm willing to offer you this. How many other purchase agreements do you think they've received like that in the mail? 0. Fortune favors the bold. So if you take action and figure it out, make them an offer, and start to put the wheels in motion, things could happen for you. Number 3 on my list is a killer strategy. I hope you're writing these down. Number 3 on my list is tax liens. Okay, tax liens phenomenal. And guess what? The county has a record of these, or the township. So it depends on the state, and it can be a little difficult to get, which is a good thing. So some people will complain when they're starting out in wholesaling or real estate investing that, oh, this is difficult to get a copy of these tax liens. That's good news. That means other people are having difficulty getting copies of the tax liens also. That means if you are, have a little bit of action in you and go out there and try to dig for it, chances are other people are not finding it and you're finding it. Does that make sense? So again, if you have to go to the county courthouse and it's not on the internet, and you have to go down there physically and ask for a copy of all tax liens from the previous year in the area where you'd like to invest, you're going to get a list of the people that are behind on their taxes on their properties. Now, sometimes it happens where there's like a little bit of an overlap. Like in New Jersey, taxes are very, very high. And I found it to be particularly difficult to get accurate information about tax liens. And so what I had to really do is dive deep with those spreadsheets, because in New Jersey, taxes are so high, but if they are, it might look like they're way behind, right? Well, $1,700 in taxes they owe, that could literally be from one quarter. One quarter in New Jersey, meaning they were behind, now they're caught up. You maybe don't want to send them a letter saying you're interested in buying their house. But in other areas, it's clear that they're behind from a year previous. If they still haven't gotten caught up on their taxes, that's someone sticking their hand up in the air saying, look, I don't want this house anymore. Okay? I don't want this house anymore. I can't afford to pay the taxes. Please come make me an offer for this property. Very often the tax properties that I've found are vacant. No one's living there. They're behind on their taxes because the family inherited this property, or it's just fallen into disrepair. No one lives there. And therefore there's a tax lien from the county or township on that particular property. Again, get a list of those. If I wanted to in my backyard right here, I would go down to the township building and I'd ask for a list of tax liens. And they're public. It's public record. And I can pull those up. And I can send them a letter, or I can literally go put a Post-it note on the door and say, I'm buying properties in this neighborhood. Are you interested in selling? If so, give me a call at, and give them your phone number. Now, you might get some angry people. Why did you put a sticker on my door? Well, you don't want to tell them, I happen to know you're behind on your taxes, but just say, oh, we're buying properties in this neighborhood. It's no big deal. If you're not interested, don't worry about it. That's rare. But if you do find people that are behind on their taxes, it might be an opportunity for you to make a deal on this particular property. Number 4 on my list is working with wholesalers in your backyard. Now, there are wholesalers who, if you've watched our video that I've done with Tom Kroll, we have a whole hour-long video. I call it like the ultimate step-by-step wholesaling guide. You should watch that video if you'd like, because we take you through step-by-step how to do direct mail, all of those pieces. And if you can partner with a wholesaler in your backyard, that would be a great way to find off-market properties, because now the wholesaler is going to be doing all of this legwork for you. They're going to be driving for dollars, putting stickers on doors, doing direct mail, looking up tax liens, etc. Now you're going to pay them a little bit of a premium, not much, but a little bit, for them to bring you a deal, but still a great source. You can meet wholesalers by going to your local meetup groups. So just go to meetup.com and look for your local REIA meetings, REIA meetings in your backyard. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 of them in your local neighborhood. Once a month, they usually get together. Go into those meetings. You'll see somebody with a name tag that says, John, I'm a wholesaler, and just say, hi, I'm an investor. I'm looking for buy and hold real estate. I'm looking for properties. And do you have any deals you could start to bring to me? That's why they're there. That's why you're there. Partnership, start to make some relationships with wholesalers. I buy properties from wholesalers all the time, and they can be a great resource because typically they're boots on the ground. They're hungry, they're young, they're out there making deals happen, and that's a great resource to find properties that are not hitting the multiple listing service and still need work to be fixed up. And number 5 on my list, best ways to find cheap houses, off-market properties, is with direct mail. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on direct mail. Direct mail is simply getting a piece of mail, like you get the circular from the local, local grocery store where it's advertising. That's what you get. That's what you do. You pull a list. You might even pull a list of like tax lien properties in your neighborhood, and you literally get those addresses. You find the owner's name, John Smith. That's the property he owns. He's 2 years behind on his taxes. Maybe you put a letter in the mail that says, "Hi, John, I noticed your property at 123 Main Street. I am interested in buying properties in this neighborhood. If you're interested in selling it, please call me. Include your phone number." Done. Direct mail works, and I would recommend picking one of these channels and going full bore with it. For me, when I was starting out in wholesaling real estate, direct mail was my number one resource. I had a dedicated phone line set up. I think I used Ring Central at the time, and I had a dedicated phone number per each mail piece, so I knew what mail piece went related to what phone number. And I had a team that we would be able to answer these. And with every about 100 phone calls that we would make, we'd usually get 1 to 2 deals, okay? That means you got to put in the time. You got to be on the phone making deals happen if you're hungry like that and if you want to do the work yourself. It can be a job, right? But this is the way that you make an advance in your life. So 100 phone calls, getting 1 to 2 deals, finding great deals, and I'd get in the car, or one of my team members would get in the car and we'd go out to the property, we'd see what needed to be worked on, and then we would make an offer to buy the property. That's how it happens. So those are the 5 ways. Let me recount them for you. Number 1 is working with realtors who handle distressed properties. Number 2, driving for dollars, getting out there and seeing distressed properties in your neighborhood. Number 3, tax liens at the county. Pull up a county website or go to the county courthouse and get a list of properties that are delinquent on their taxes. Not for 1 month. Try to go back a little bit because that's a clear sign that maybe this person does not want this property anymore. Number 4 is finding wholesalers, going to your local meetup groups, shaking hands, interacting, becoming a real estate investor. And number 5 is using direct mail. It's another fantastic way of finding off-market, deeply discounted properties. They are out there, they exist. Not every house is a retail house. When you see balloons for an open house, there are many more that don't have balloons that need work and need to be fixed up. There you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and give us a like. I'd love to hear some of your methods for finding off-market properties. You can leave those in the comments below. Thank you guys so much.